Hey everybody, this is Liz, and usually you see me with a guest, but today I'll be talking to you about something that is near and dear to my heart, and that is leadership. And there are always difficult times where you have to make calls and the team will not understand. So I want to share because I've been asked to share, and that I always have other guests on, but people would like to hear a little bit from me. So I had an experience this past week, and then I thought I would just share that with you. So I was called in to help a business this past week. Some of the team members, managers couldn't be there, so I came in and helped run their crew for a day. And when you come in, you want to give support to their team members. This is also a lawn care company, so there would be routes, there would be many jobs on the schedule for that day. It was a Friday, so that means anybody who called out during the week, that their whole route and everything gets pushed. And so if they call out during the week, they're supposed to work on Saturdays. And that is the understanding, and that's the policy. So I came in very supportive. The night before, though, they had had poor leadership up to that time. And I wasn't coming in to be overbearing or anything like that. But the night before, I said, this is how tomorrow's going to roll. It's a very busy day. We have a lot of jobs on the schedule. And I put this on the team WhatsApp for all the team. And it said that everybody had their route, and whoever they were with, they could feel free to just stop where they felt they were tired. If they had an event that evening or whatever. And then the two of them together would decide where they were going to stop. I would move the remainder of the jobs onto Saturday. And then the two of them could come on Saturday, or just one of them, however they wanted to do it. If they were on a solo route, they could also go ahead and just finish the route themselves, or stop whenever they wanted and then come back on Saturday and finish. So I had one particular team, it was a guy and a girl, and he had to leave for his other job at 4 o'clock. So we typically are mowing past that time, especially on Friday, because we're trying to wrap up from the whole week. And so I gave them the choice. If you guys want to each go on a solo route, you can, or you can go together. Then she brings you back at 4 o'clock to go to your other job, and then she goes back out and finishes the rest of the jobs. So they decided that they would rather work together, and then she would bring him back so he could go to his other job, and then she could finish the jobs. So this employee in particular, I had never met until that morning. Beautiful, wonderful, wonderful spirit about her, team player, all of these good things. And when she walked in the morning, I thought she was great. And so we talked a little bit, got to know each other, and then she headed out for the day with her team member. So during the day, they gave me a call on one job that they were at, weren't sure what to do. So I gave her direction, and she was able to handle that. She called me back a little while later, and she said, I was trying to help us to get our route done quicker, and I was going to run to the next job site. And she said, I backed up and I hit a fence. So what had happened was, we have the trailerless setups with all the gear on the trailer, and the trailer was down. She had put it down for that job, which is totally fine, but she didn't put it back up. So she got in the truck and then backed up about 6 to 8 feet, hit a fence, a metal fence. So nothing was damaged on the fence, but everything in the back of the truck went through the back window. So the entire back window was shattered. And so she said, will I have to pay for that? She called me, told me what happened. We'll have to pay for that. And I said, well, typically, if you have P4P dollars, and those of you who don't know about P4P, check out P4P.com. But those in the industry very likely do know what that is. And I said, you haven't made any P4P up to this point since you've been working here. So all we can take away is your P4P dollars to pay for that. And you don't have any. So no, you wouldn't have to pay for this. This kind of stuff happens. This is life. Just carry on. Just try to finish your route with the window like that. It was a hot, sunny day, and we'll take care of it. So that was totally fine. She was, reassured by that and carried on through the day. She was apologetic. So when she got back with her team member at 4, she told me she could not go back out and work anymore, and she couldn't finish the last 3 jobs because she was having nervous breakdowns all day long. One thing I'll add is this generation is in a place where they're always a victim. And so things like nervous breakdown, which they have no idea what that really is, a lot of the times people are very extreme in their speech. In our industry, people are dehydrated, they're exhausted, and if they have anxiety, it can exacerbate that, being so tired and working so hard. And then add to that the accident she had happened that day with breaking the truck. So she said she couldn't go back out, and I said, okay, you can come in tomorrow and finish those mows. And she said, no, I don't want to come in tomorrow either. And I said, well, I need you at least to clean out the back of the truck and vacuum all the glass up and put some plastic, trash bags or whatever, or go get some plastic and tape it to the back of the truck till we can get it fixed. And she said no to that, and then she left. So I texted the other teammate and I said, so she's not wanting to do any of the rest of the job, so you'll need to come back tomorrow. And he said, well, I can't. And so I let her know, you are the one. You need to come back today and do these things, or you need to do them tomorrow. And she said no. So I let her know that her services were no longer required at Augusta and that I was letting her go. I did not act rash, and I acted very calculated. And you could say, well, you should never walk into a company and help them out and do something extreme. But imagine that they've had really poor leadership up to this point, and they're not used to extreme ownership. They're not used to taking ownership for anything. And with certain types of leadership, the team themselves run the ship. They run the show. They tell you how it's going to be, when they're going to mow, how many jobs they're going to do, when they're going to come back, and you're just at their mercy. They could have one more job, 20 minutes away, and you're asking, can you please just do that one job? And they're like, no, or they don't even say anything. They just come back and say, oh, didn't do the last one. And that is not the way to operate a company. So a leader typically wants to be right in the middle, where they have their systems in place and they encourage and inspire. And then when there is good progress or good behavior or outstanding performance, then they praise that. And they really, any 5-star reviews, anything that comes in, you really want to capitalize on that and bring that before the team. So this seems very extreme. It seems like something that I shouldn't do. However, I knew that I would be backed up by the owner. And so I made that call, and their personal leadership was, the managers there were very upset, felt I made the wrong decision because they were emotionally attached to the young lady and they thought she was a wonderful person. But emotions and feelings and anxiety, they're not what make money for a business. When you have an owner walk into that situation, they're going to go, oh, that person's never made a penny for the company. They call in every other day. They are saying they have heat stroke and they have anxiety attacks and they're having nervous breakdowns all day long. An owner would say they're gone. My kind side, when I walked in and met her, and then I hear, yesterday she came back early because she was dehydrated. The day before, she said she was having heat stroke, and so she came back early. Before that, she was calling in. So she wasn't working full day. She wasn't doing full routes. And immediately, what comes to my mind is, she's not meant for this work. Of course she's having anxiety. Of course it's extremely stressful when you back up a trailer and then you ram into something. And yeah, if it was my daughter, I would be helping her find another job, and I would be having her leave the job she's at. So with that in mind, I was actually doing her a favor. Everything was very kind, very civil. She thanked me for the opportunity to be there. There was never a harsh word between us, but the employees were very upset, as was the management that had been weak before and had never created a standard. So what happens is you cater to the weak, and then your high performers start to leave because the high performers get stuck doing the long hours, the Saturday shifts. The night before, when I had said that we were going to do a route that was going to overflow into Saturday, and if you didn't get your route done on Friday, you were going to have to do it Saturday, somebody quit that night because they thought that was too harsh. And one of the high performers in the morning, I said, wow, that must have been a little bit harsh. Maybe that's why he quit. And he turns around and goes, I'm so glad you said that, because I've been mowing since till 9 o'clock last Friday, and I work Saturday, and I wish other people would pull their weight. They don't finish their jobs. They should go back out and do them. I'm like, thank you. And so they had not been used to anybody pushing them. Hey, buddy, you've got one more job. I think you have it in you. But what I saw happen was the coolest thing. So I gave them all a ton of mows. I said that whatever they didn't get done Friday was totally fine. They could decide when they wanted to quit. And then Saturday, they needed to wrap up their route. Some of them said, oh, I told my wife it's either I'm going to work late tonight or I'm going to go back tomorrow. And they agreed that I want to work late tonight and get them done. I tell you, these guys kicked butt, and I was so stinking proud of them. And I even texted them during the day that I knew you guys were good. And believe me, they hadn't been pushed before. But I'm very impressed at how well you're doing today. One of the guys had never done a complete route. He could hardly do any 5-6 mows, which isn't very much. A high performer can do, 15 to 20, depending on the size. And I told him, I said, I bet you're proud of yourself when he came back. And he goes, yeah. I said, you didn't know you had it in you, did you? And he said, nope. And he did better than he had ever done before. And the other guys got so much done. And if I hadn't said that the night before, saying how the day was going to roll, we would have had the entire crew working on Saturday to mow. So just to tell you a little bit about what the girl didn't do the last 3 mows. We have a dentist that we mow and 3 of his other properties right on the same street. She and her partner mowed 3, but left the dentist unmowed, and it can only be mowed on a Friday. So it didn't get mowed. And that was one she didn't go back and finish. It would have taken her less than 30 minutes to do that mow. So what happened is that rolled into Saturday, causing somebody else to have to go mow it. But that person had initial mows, what we call in the spring season, if it needs to be mowed and it's really long, we call that an initial mow because it's a mow that needs to take place before you can put recurring mows on the schedule. So it took this guy 7 hours, like it took him the whole day to do this initial mow. So I was not going to make him on a Saturday go do more, like finish up her mow. So I had to actually send an apology to the owner of the dentist and say, I'm so sorry, but due to lack of manpower and exhaustion of the crew, we'll be back next week, and we were unable to complete your service. In my mind, knowing that the next week was so busy that we weren't going to be able to fit this in. So not only did she not own the fact that she had broken the window, refused to clean it up, that all to me is letting your team down. So she let the team down by not going out. It wasn't evening, it was still afternoon. By letting the team down, she did let the team down by not going to do those last 3 jobs. And so it caused a big stir amongst the team. It caused a turn of the Titanic. It didn't go down, but there had to be a huge change in leadership and things done after I was there for that one day. I was able to sit down with one of the managers and say, this is how you structure your day. This is how we can get you out of there earlier each day if you do this and this order in this amount of time. And so as of today, they have a strong leader in place, and they will be able to lead those under them, the other managers, very well, and will do a good job, and they'll be successful. But I say all that to talk about leadership today. There's multiple types of leadership, but there's going to come times when you lead teams that you're going to make a decision that is the right decision. So let's say I was a general in an army, and I've done this for 20 years. So the particular location I was at, I ran that location for 5 years. So I know all the ins and outs. I know how the guys feel. I've worked, and now the business I run, just the one of them has 35 to 40 to 45 people at any given time that I'm managing every day. So I know what it means to have anxiety, not myself so much, but the employees. So we deal with that every day. Getting people to work, understanding what they're going through, trying to inspire them and encourage them to push a little harder, to get a little more done, even though they're not feeling well. How much can you do? Let's just have you do that much. And I could sit down with that entire team and tell them stories about even guys that were there working that shift. By the way, they never gave a speck of pushback. They supported my decisions. Even if they felt something inside, they never verbalized it to the team that they didn't think that was fair or anything, because they know that they've been in the hospital and I was there for them. They were doubled over in anxiety attacks and couldn't come to work. And I worked with them. No one knew. And so they have all received the benefit of a kind, caring manager, but the new people that were there and the weak managers had no kind of respect and appreciation for it whatsoever. So back to what I was saying, if you had a general in the Army who's had all this experience, he has run missions with hundreds of men, and he's moved all the way up from being boots on the ground all the way up to general, okay? So he gets it, he understands, and he's been there. So he walks into a group of new soldiers who aren't hardened, who don't have extreme ownership yet, who are not extremely disciplined because they haven't gone through any battles yet, anything tough that they've had to just grit it out. Speaking of my guys, they were now experiencing that. They're exhausted. They've been running long days, big jobs, not making any P for P because they are not so efficient because they are tired. And the weakness, the fault all fell on those weak managers who didn't hire when they were told to overhire. You're hearing from people who have been there year after year, spring after spring, and told them you've got to what you would think is overhire, because what's going to happen is you're going to hit spring and you're going to wish you had hired guys. And every single day the owner was coming in. Every time he walked in, did you hire more people yet? Did you hire more people? And they turned off their ads. They stopped at 12, and he had told them you need at least 20 people. So the fault really fell completely on them. The guys are exhausted, calling out because there weren't enough staff to help carry the load, which means now we have to cancel initial mows, we have to push off other work, and it's not fair to the team, the high performers that are there, that the weak people are catered to, and that they can just call out but not have to work on Saturday and finish their route. So when the general, the captain come in and they make a call that is the right call, it's a hard call, it's a misunderstood call, but they know it's the right thing, and if they had to do it over and over, they would do the same thing over and over again. The guys that have not experienced anything hard will not understand. They will actually hate that person. They will have a lot of choice words for them. They just walked in here and thought they knew what was what. What they don't realize is that in the background, that general was guarding for them, blocking for them, trying to make the job easy for them, got no benefit or pay or anything to come in and help them and make a call and do the hard things. And that was the way with me. I was going to help because I cared, and I cared about the team. All of this was with no emotion. And so I was told, my leadership style is hard, but really it wasn't. I'm not hard. And I was supportive and helped them through the whole day, answered the phone every time they needed. I didn't go do anything else. I was at the computer, at the phone, right there for them all day, rerouting, moving stuff around, everything they needed, 100% for them. They don't know until they don't have it that they want strong leadership. And so they'll realize the difference now that they have good, strong leaders in place. But I'm going to tell you, you're going to have times of leadership where you're not going to be liked at all. You're going to be alone. You're going to make decisions on your own, and you're going to have to defend it. And you're going to have to, once you're hearing all the hate and all the stuff they're saying against you after, you have to keep running it through the filter of, okay, I didn't act out of emotion. I did what was best for the team. I was the one who ended up vacuuming all the glass out of that truck and making arrangements for it to get fixed. That employee, of course, she was fired, but she never had to pay for that. She didn't have to pay for the customers we could have lost. We could have lost the one dentist and all the other mowing customers, like all his other addresses that we took care of, because he had said before, you didn't show up last week on Friday. That's the only day they're closed. And if it happens again, you're going to lose all my addresses, which they're small properties, but it was $300 a week that we made on those 4. So not only would she break the window, which is going to cost to fix, but she didn't go back and do those mows, which is very expensive if you don't just finish a route while you're there. So all in all, just know that it's not easy leading. You need to immerse yourself in stuff, content, listening to people that are smarter than you and better than you and have been through more than you, so that you can just say, this is just par for the course. This is just a season. For us in our industry, it's just a season. 2 months from now, guys will be asking for hours because now it's hot and they're banging through those mows. There's no initial mows and they're wanting you to get more business. But right now, you know that yes, it's hard, but it is going to change in a couple months. So I can have complete calmness in those moments and detach and run it through the filter of, was that the right thing to do again today, and know that I did the right thing. And if I had to do it again, even though I've got tons of flack, that yes, I would have to do it again. I need to think of the team first, and I can't cater to weak leaders who had caused this in the first place and had caused and allowed the weak person that I had to let go had catered to that person. Of course, they're all emotionally attached. Wonderful person. But an owner is going to look through that filter and say, never made a penny for our company, can't even finish a mowing route. What are they doing here? Understandably so. And so managers are there to carry out what the owner's wishes are. If they're an entrepreneur, he needs an intrapreneur there to make it happen. The intrapreneur gets, understands, catches the vision of the entrepreneur, and they just take care of it. The owner, the entrepreneur, can just say, this is what needs to happen. This is how I'm looking at this. Can you take care of it? And they get it done. And that's the way great teams work. That's how great businesses are run. And that's how great businesses become great, is because they have amazing teams that work together well. Not a single thing we do in our industry can be done by one person, not from the first call from the customer to the final invoice payment. We are 100% dependent on each other. And so why would you mistreat each other? Why would you cater to the weak? Why wouldn't you support one another and encourage them and push them to be better? I saw performance in those guys that they didn't even know they could do, that they didn't even know they possessed, that kind of push and drive to get their jobs done. So do hard things. Make sure you're listening to good podcasts, reading good Audible books by people that are better than you, stronger than you, faster than you, and definitely smarter than you. And that is the way you crest the waves of these difficult times in business, is because you're really solid, because of all the content you've read, because you've heard of thousands of other businesses and managers and owners that experience this stuff. So I hope you didn't mind listening to me today. I'll have another guest on next week, and I appreciate you all. Have a wonderful day.